I allowed you to be around, naively believed that you would be lost without me. Dennis walked around the room. Then he took a clean t-shirt from his bag and put it on, standing by the mirror. In the reflection, he saw Sonia's huge, tear-filled eyes. But this can't go on anymore. Our paths diverge. The future, somehow, on its own. Okay? You can't leave me. You can't, Sonia stubbornly insisted. You proposed to me. Forgot? Stand by your words, Dennis. Or I swear, I'll do something to myself. I won't fall for your threats, Sonia. Let's go. We'll tell our parents everything and end this mess. Before Dennis could touch the doorknob, Sonia quickly jumped up and stood in front of him, burning him with her furious gaze. It's all because of her, am I right? All because of that blasted Anya. You saw her and remembered past feelings. I never forgot about them. Dennis forced a smile and immediately paid for it. Sonia swung and hit him hard on the cheek. It's unclear who got hit harder. Sonia's hand was badly burned. She screamed loudly and started shaking it in the air. Put it under cold water, Dennis advised. He pushed her aside and headed to the kitchen, massaging his jaw along the way. Look who's here, Sonia's father exclaimed, getting up from his chair. He filled the glasses, delighted to have another man at the table, and handed one to Dennis. Well, let's drink to the happiness of the young couple. Where is our bride? Dennis looked at his mother. All of Elena Viktorovna's attention was focused on her son's cheek, where a crimson imprint of a hand was spreading. Declining the offered glass, Dennis announced to the guests, there will be no wedding. Silence fell over the table for a moment. The parents exchanged glances, glanced at the embarrassed bride, and the father skeptically snorted. What do you mean? There will be none. Sonia and I broke up. I won't be able to make your daughter happy. I regret not making this decision earlier, but, as they say, better late than never. I apologize. Dennis lowered his head in dismay and headed towards the hallway, ignoring the remarks from behind. They are young, Elena Viktorovna reassured the disappointed relatives. They will make up. The mother tried to salvage the situation as best she could. She still hoped that her son would come to his senses when he heard another rejection from Anya. Dennis wandered for a long time under her windows, hesitating to dial the desired number on the intercom. The lights were on in her windows. Imagining her with her husband, Dennis felt a sharp pang of jealousy and decisively headed towards the entrance. But as soon as his fingers touched the buttons, the telephone rang. Mom, he grumbled with annoyance into the receiver. Can you leave me alone? I made it clear. Son, it's Sonia. She overdosed on pills. What kind of pills? Dennis reluctantly stepped back from the metal door and looked towards Anya's window, hoping to catch a glimpse of her silhouette. Different ones, all sorts, Elena Viktorovna sobbed. There was chaos in the background. Sonia's parents were shouting, urging their daughter to wake up. A shiver ran down Dennis's spine. The image of a patient he couldn't save appeared before his eyes. It haunted him, even in his dreams. And now, Sonia had decided to join that ranks. Call an ambulance, I'll be home in a minute, Dennis commanded on the go. Bursting into the apartment, he pushed aside Sonia's frightened parents and tried to induce vomiting following the rehearsed instructions. What pills did she swallow? He sternly asked his mother. Elena Viktorovna started sorting through empty pill packets she found on the floor of her bedroom. Each name she uttered added another deep line to Dennis's forehead. This is bad, he muttered, despairingly looking into Sonia's face. You foolish girl. How could you be so foolish, Sonia? How did you even come to this? He shook her by the shoulders, noticing the flush on her cheeks, and froze, watching as her trembling lips moved slightly. What the hell was happening? Sonia slowly opened her eyes and looked up at Dennis. And now you won't leave me, right? She said in an angelic voice, stretching an innocent smile. She's alive, exclaimed her mother, clutching her heart. Elena Viktorovna hurriedly searched through the empty pill packets, hoping to find at least one surviving tranquilizer pill. Sonia had consumed them all. Have you lost your mind? Dennis snapped, pushing her away. Where did you put the medication? I flushed them down the toilet. Sonia giggled with delight, encountering her father's disapproving gaze, and shrugged nonchalantly. Well, sorry, I'm just trying to save my wedding. We will discuss this at home, her father grumbled darkly, blushing with shame for his daughter's behavior. Well, go, leave, before I spank you in front of everyone. Dad, I'm already an adult, and I'm not going anywhere. My place is next to the groom. I suppose, Elena Viktorovna interjected with a voice trembling from the shock she had experienced. I suppose you and Dennis have broken up? The wedding won't happen, and you, Sonia, would be better off leaving. The mother's words shook Dennis. For the first time, she stood on his side and deprived Sonia of her usual support. The candidacy of this good girl no longer suited her as a potential daughter-in-law. What a nightmare! How is this even possible? Elena Viktorovna sobbed after escorting the guests, while Dennis reported to the ambulance staff about the false call. I nearly fainted when I saw her on the floor, unconscious, and she found it funny. How could such decent, intelligent people raise such a crazy daughter? She looked at Dennis hopefully, but he shrugged indifferently and disappeared into his bedroom, unwilling to engage in conversation. Elena Viktorovna cautiously followed and found her son lying on his bed. She sat down beside him and touched his back. Don't worry, my dear, we'll find you another bride. But this Sonia, I won't even let her cross the threshold. Don't meddle in my life anymore, Dennis said, without turning his head towards her. If you interfere again, you can forget about me. I don't need your brides. I already have one, lined up. Not her, then no one. But she's married. Anya, you're... Well then, I'll be alone for the rest of my life. Elena Viktorovna gasped and hastily left her son's room. He stubbornly stood his ground, completely out of her control, leaving no choice for his mother but to accept it. Are you going to see Anya? She asked him in the morning, with a quiet, insinuating voice. Dennis nodded silently, not divulging any details to his mother. Oh, Denya, you're going to get yourself into trouble. You don't even know who her husband... Well, we'll meet him, he dryly replied. Dennis quickly finished his tea and, without saying another word, left the apartment. He walked resolutely towards the right entrance, hesitated for a moment in front of it, and dialed the apartment number. They let him in without a word. Rushing up to the second floor, Dennis stopped in front of the right door, but before he could press the doorbell, it opened right in front of his face. A boy with cornflower blue eyes froze on the threshold, looking at Dennis with caution. He had boldly opened the door, likely expecting to see someone else. Dennis peered into the apartment over the boy's head, cleared his throat slightly, and hoarsely asked, "Is your father home?" The boy's eyes widened in fear. He stepped back, trying to close the door, but Dennis maneuvered and stuck his foot in the doorway. "Listen, kid," he quickly said, trying to put on a kinder expression. The boy was probably scared by his gloomy appearance. "I was in the same class as your mother. Don't worry, I'm not a stranger. I came to see your father. Is he home?" "Papa," the boy repeated, squinting his eyes suspiciously. "Papa, he's dead.